This movie that came out, Aquaman, it wasn't very good.
You can talk underwater? Hey, I can talk underwater too! This is awesome!
Oh, we can do more than just talk.
I kept wondering while watching it, who would voluntarily sit down and watch this? This is supposed to be entertainment, right? It was like watching my 8-year-old cousin play a video game on Xbox, and he's controlling Jason Momoa with his fucking controller. It costs $150.
The price is $179.99.
How am I supposed to take anything that's going on seriously throughout this entire movie? Okay, let me break it down for you.
Break it down for me.
This film was directed by a man named James Wan, master of the 360 orbiting shot. Oh, we're gonna spin around the characters, isn't this cool? You know, it's not cool when you do it 150 times in one movie. I have seen almost all of these films, and I can say from the bottom of my heart, they are indeed movies. Saw was okay, Conjuring was okay. He directed one episode of MacGyver, I didn't watch that. The trailers just looked so bad. Then I heard the movie was almost 2.5 hours long. But then I saw the IMDb score and I was like, whew, okay, this movie's probably great. So for some reason, Aquaman has been received as a good film. Are you guys okay?
It is factually epic.
I think you've all been smoking too many doobies. Aquaman is one hell of a ride. I'm happy Aquaman fans got the Aquaman they wanted. I'm happy they got to go to a theater and watch Jason Momoa dressed as Aquaman fight a bunch of CGI fish. It is so standard and formulaic. It does nothing original. There's no real style to it aside from James Wan's 360 orbiting camera and lots of wide-angle lenses. One thing I will say about Zack Snyder's vision for the DCEU was that it was uniquely terrible, but Aquaman does nothing exceptional at all. The reaction wasn't, oh my god, this is the worst thing ever made. The reaction was, oh, okay, I guess that was fine. Even the critics on Rotten Tomatoes were really impressed with Aquaman. People still use this fucking awful site. The film is everything, but most of all, it's a deliberate confection. Splash meets Game of Thrones in this thoroughly entertaining slice of submersible superhero. Aquaman is not a flawlessly constructed film, but it takes the DCEU in a welcome direction. Quite possibly the worst comic book movie ever made. Alright, that's a little much, dude. I wouldn't say that. I understand that people like these movies. Feel free to enjoy whatever you want. I understand there's a market for this. The impression that I and so many other people have of Aquaman is that cheesy guy in the orange suit.
Let's just hope we can wear him down before he wears us down.
They have definitely tried to do many other things with the character since the original Super Friends, obviously. There are plenty of other iterations of Aquaman where he's portrayed in a more badass, serious light. There's just no denying that he has that stigma attached to him.
But I've got friends coming over tonight!
These lobsters walked right up to the door. Anyone hungry?
The Johnsons! Oh no!
People kind of see him as a joke. And then when you make a film titled Aquaman with Jason Momoa, I get the feeling like, oh, they're really running out of ideas, aren't they? And I really hate this whole, this ain't your dad's Aquaman mentality we're trying to take with this new version of Aquaman. They could have taken that tongue-in-cheek approach like they did with Shazam. They keep saying Aquaman this, and you're not supposed to laugh.
You're the Aquaman.
You're supposed to take it seriously. I understand a lot of people can take it seriously, but I can't. Ready for the movie to start? Whoa. Oh, what's that over there? What's that over there? I gotta go see what it is.
Jules Verne once wrote, put two ships in the open sea. Without wind or tide, they will come together.
Jules Verne, nice. Hey, we can't write any dialogue, that's good. Just start the movie with a Jules Verne quote.
Jules Verne once wrote,
as Jules Verne once said, I believe cats to be spirits come to earth. A cat, I am sure, could walk on a cloud without coming through. Oh, like 9 Lives, right?
That hurt!
Hey, didn't that guy turn out to be a pedophile? So Aquaman's dad picks up Nicole Kidman. She's still holding the staff even though she's unconscious, I think.
That's how my parents met. Like two ships destined for each other.
Thanks for explaining the significance of the Jules Verne quote. Oh look, he has a dog, cause fuck it. People like dogs. Put a dog in, whatever. Hilarious. It's like that scene in Venom. Where Tom Hardy eats the lobster out of the tank, except that scene is way funnier than this. Tom Hardy was really dedicated to that role, and that's why that lobster scene is way better than this fish-eating scene in Aquaman. You know what? Venom is such a good movie. This is actually just a review of Venom now.
Knock, knock, let the devil in.
So Venom is a film that came out last year.
We're gonna run some tests, okay? It's gonna be completely painless.
Buddy, what's happening in there?
It stars Tom Hardy as the principal role of Venom.
Wait.
The best scene in the movie is, of course, this one when Tom Hardy is breaking into the facility, and the girl's like,
Please, just go in. Don't touch anything. Go
and 5 seconds later, he's fucking knocking in everything. I'm dodging the main subject matter. Okay, so where were we? Yeah, we were 3 minutes into the movie. All these movies follow the Wonder Woman formula now. You start the story when the main character is very young, so that some kind of mentor characters or parental guidance characters can feed them exposition.
Her marriage to King Orvex was arranged a long time ago, so she had to marry him and bear him a son.
It made him so powerful that the ocean itself became jealous.
This is the lost trident of Atlan.
Oh, I know the story.
It's more than a story. It's real. It was forged by the greatest weapon masters.
Wait. He said he knew. He said he knew the story. You don't have to explain it.
Crafted from Poseidon's steel.
Oh, alright. That was just a little bit of exposition. It's over now.
To know that is to go back to the time before the Great Fall.
Oh my god.
When King Atlan ruled over all that was.
Aquaman said he knew all this. He knew it. Why are we being explained it? Oh my god, it's going on for so long.
Breathe underwater.
Wait, how'd you get that ability?
We evolved.
And then whatever exposition we can't cram in there, we'll just have voiceover. That only shows up at the beginning and the end of the movie.
She had fled an arranged marriage, left her whole world behind. But in my father's lighthouse.
So Aquaman has a lot in common with Wonder Woman, but it also has a lot in common with a few Marvel films, such as Black Panther. The whole plot of the brother leaving the kingdom and then coming back because the throne is his birthright is a part of Black Panther as well. Except in that case, it's the bad guy, Killmonger, and the good guy is King T'Challa. Then there's the whole element of them being brothers, which is very similar to Thor. And then 5 minutes into the movie, they're attacked and it's turned into a giant action scene. You know, there's a lot of scenes in this movie where people are talking and something just blows up and interrupts. Then we get that cliche violin, dramatic stock sounds, and loud drums all in one. You know, because this scene is super dramatic. There's no time to develop these characters or their relationships in any meaningful way. In a minute, we go from this guy finds Nicole Kidman, they have a baby, then feed the kids some exposition about Atlantis and how amazing it is, and then we gotta capture her quick, because we gotta get to the cool stuff. We gotta get to Jason Momoa and the fighting and the action and the CGI. That's what everyone wants, right? Rush all that stuff in the first 10 minutes, and then we'll cut to the title sequence, and it says Aquaman. Oh, look, the fish spell out Aquaman. How cute. Then Master Chief walks in. Big dramatic close-up when he takes off his mask. Oh, it's a guy. I don't know who this guy is. I don't care. I've never seen him before. Oh my god, it's the Mantis or whatever the fuck.
This isn't a competition. It's an execution.
Okay, so Jason Momoa is bulletproof and he's super fast and he can dodge everything and he's super strong and he can hit people and throw them and whatever. So he's basically unstoppable, so why do I care about what's happening? There's no tension throughout most of this film because everything looks fake, and Aquaman's basically unstoppable. Just like Wonder Woman, just like Superman. Then Aquaman just walks away, goes up a ladder, and he pulls out a grenade launcher and shoots it at Aquaman. I guess the debris just doesn't affect Aquaman at all. Then we get this really dramatic music. We've known these guys for like 3 minutes.
Damn you!
Can we get a picture with you? You're like a local hero, man.
And then we cut to the CGI ocean and we dive deep. Well, it's a really cool shot. And then look at all the CGI seahorses and CGI Patrick Wilson, CGI Willem Dafoe. So when does this take place? Because they mention a fight with Steppenwolf, which I assume is from Justice League.
You defeated Steppenwolf and saved Atlantis.
But they act like they don't know each other. But in Justice League, they had a conversation.
You know, I don't even know your name.
It's Princess Ymira Jabella Chala. You may call me Mira.
Call me whatever. Every character has to introduce themselves in this way.
Call me Ocean Master.
And then you're supposed to be impressed by this like CGI underwater world, but it looks like total crap. There are a few actors who play young Aquaman. This is like 5-year-old Aquaman, and this is like 8-year-old Aquaman. These actors who play the younger versions of Jason Momoa don't do a great job.
So Volko, when can I meet my mother?
Especially this guy.
Does she not love me?
He went to the Mark Wahlberg School of Line Delivery.
Are you saying they executed her? Because she had me?
What? No.
Aquaman challenges the king to a duel. He loses the fight to his brother, who's also the king. He loses his staff that his mother gave him, and he's about to be killed when Mira comes out and rescues him. And then we're treated to a very odd song choice.
Always against all odds like
You're not gonna believe who made this song. World-renowned composer and musical artist Pitbull. The song has a lot of dislikes on YouTube. He also did the amazing score for the film Gotti. You know what, Pitbull? There's only one musical artist I will allow to compose music for superhero films, and that one man is Eminem, who composed the epic song for the film Venom. Oh my god, the transition with the plane is very bad. Also, this scene is so bad. Oh yeah, 360 that, baby. 360 shot. Keep going with those 360 shots. Dialogue scene? Are you bored by this? Oh, well, they just fall down a CGI water slide. Whoa! Whoa! Whoa, whoa! This film also tries to be funny.
Could've just peed on it.
Haha, that's what I was thinking. Then they go to Italy for some reason, and the only thing we ever see of Italy is like this one little set with a town square. It's like a guy with flowers. Like, what the fuck is this? This isn't what Italy is like. So Arthur hasn't seen Willem Dafoe's character in a long time. He trained him all throughout childhood. So I thought their reunion was gonna be like a bit more of an event.
Plus, it keeps the animals out. They get kind of messy.
There's no like big introduction where Willem Dafoe turns around and it's like a really heartwarming moment. Kind of like Aquaman has with his mom later. Spoilers.
Here I am, old man. After all these years, you finally got what you wanted.
So King Orm wants to start a war with human beings because we put trash in the ocean. And King Orm is trying to convince all of these other kingdoms to join him. So we get a bunch of subplots and characters of like people living in all these different kingdoms. And this movie's trying to do so much and set up so many different kingdoms and characters, it gets hard to follow. So much of this is rushed because there's barely enough time for it. There's these fish people and they get conquered in like 2 minutes. You get no time to care about them or even understand like what they are, where they are. The only person who could stop King Orm is Aquaman, and he's tasked with finding this ancient trident so he can defeat his brother. And Aquaman goes to the giant monster that's guarding the trident, and it's a lot like that scene from Doctor Strange. You know, that Marvel movie? Aquaman just tries punching the monster and it doesn't work. But then Aquaman says the truth.
I am a half-breed Mongol. But I did not come here because I thought I was worthy. I know I'm not.
You understand me.
And I guess the monster is moved by his little monologue. And then he's dressed in the Aquaman garb, and you're supposed to be like, wow, that's so cool. But I was just laughing. And King Orm and Aquaman are fighting at the end. And then the mom comes out. She's like, why are my boys fighting? You'll all relax. I'll bake you some cookies and we'll just hang out in my house and we'll live happily ever after. And that's the end of the movie. There's a bunch of guys against green screen just explaining the plot to each other. It was so dull.
They were the greatest empire the world had ever seen. And now, sit on Atlan's throne, shackled by archaic laws and politics.
This is very serious, guys. They're going to destroy Bikini Bottom. We need to stop them. I commend this movie somewhat for what it does with the visuals. What James Wan was trying to do was super ambitious. They did do that projection method with like the stuff where they're driving, which is cool. I guess you could say Aquaman was ahead of its time in this way, because I think what they're trying to do is kind of cool, but it doesn't look good. Maybe because the tech just isn't there yet. It's not gonna age well. I thought the fact that they were in salt water the entire movie was going to be a bit distracting. Oh, I'm sorry, not salt water. I meant to say sodium chloride water.
That's what I said. Sodium chloride.
You know what? This is now a review of Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius.
Not a blast.
I thought it would look super bad and distracting having this blue tinge over the entire movie or something, but it actually looks okay. The hair is actually kind of cool at times. It doesn't always look real, but they tried. All the actors had to get scanned and then their CG bodies are put into the movie. A lot of this movie was shot against a blue screen, or on like a small set and then a blue screen. I think it really kind of hindered the performances, which is kind of sad because I think one of the best things about this film is actually the acting. Like Nicole Kidman's banging it out with very little material to work with. Like Jason Momoa's really trying, he's having a lot of fun with the role. I mean, Willem Dafoe is there, he does a fine job. Like, everyone's trying. The only one who I'd say was distracting is Amber Heard, who isn't terrible necessarily, but she's very just kind of bland.
I've been looking for you.
Oh, no.
I need you to come with me to Atlantis.
She doesn't add anything to that character.
Volko has learned of the location of the lost trident of Atlan. With the sacred trident, the people will listen to you.
I had heels and a corset and a push-up bra. Come on.
You were like,
are
there notes going into Aquaman 2 that you're going to ask the costume designer to address?
It's a long list.
Next movie, they'll just throw her in pajamas. Before you know it, these movies won't even have actors in them anymore. It'll just be all CGI. And the voices will just be AI that are all programmed to sound like Mickey Mouse. So I went to the Museum of Aquaman. I think that's what it's called. It was this part of Warner Brothers where they have all of the Aquaman stuff. But I was looking at these Aquaman costumes, and when you see them up close in real life, they look fantastic. Clearly a lot of care went into making these. It's just a shame when it's in this movie, it just looks really fake because it's surrounded by a bunch of CGI. This was one of the main reasons I just didn't want to see the movie. Because the idea of these people just floating around in the CGI environment, it's gonna look like the Gungan City. The score and the music. Need to make a scene dramatic? Just add the boom. It's so boring now. The score is trying to do a lot of the heavy lifting, but it's so over the top that it becomes comical. And it makes the film feel very cheap. Then you have like the selected tracks that are not composed. And these are awful. Just horrible music choices inserted into the most random parts of the movie. It was almost on Sony's level. Even Sony has stopped doing that. But hey, there's no more need to compliment Venom. Didn't you love the scene when Michelle Williams became Venom?
Hi, Eddie.
Whoa.
How do you think Michelle Williams, the respected actor she is, feels about that scene? She was probably just like, oh, hello?
Is this some kind of joke to you?
Yeah, it kinda is, honestly.
I was listening in on you, and you seem to be shitting all over Disney.
Macon, are you okay? You sound kinda like, kinda satanic, you know?
Well, since you want to know, Mr. Movie Maker, I have finally ascended to the next level with the help of Disney and Mickey Mouse. The point is, your purpose is to talk about Aquaman, not other Marvel properties, even Venom, because we're supposed to be friends with some...
Whoa.
Alright, let's go through the characters. I have them written down here. Aquaman. So considering he's Aquaman, he's actually a pretty okay written character. He's torn between two worlds, his mother's world in the ocean, and his father's world on shore. And he doesn't really feel suited for either. A huge reason this character works as well as he does is Jason Momoa. He brings a lot of personality to the role, and you can tell he's really trying. The character of Aquaman turns out to be the best part of the Aquaman movie. Unfortunately, this movie is crammed with tons of other characters and subplots, and all of this takes away from Aquaman. Mira. Whenever Aquaman needs something explained to him, she's there to explain it.
What is this?
We use this air pocket as an extra layer of precaution. Only the highborns can breathe water as well as air.
And whenever Aquaman needs to be saved, she's there to save him. So according to their doctored, fake interviews that are done by the studio and edited by the studio and recorded under strict supervision of the studio, and they seem to have a fun time with each other. I'm very glad. I'm glad everyone who made this movie enjoyed the experience while making it, and that they all got along just fine. I'm just speaking as someone who's watching this film from his house, but these two characters had absolutely no chemistry at all.
Pinocchio. You risked our lives based on something you read in a children's book?
I got it from the movie.
Oh my god, Disney managed to work its way into this movie too? Unless Aquaman is of course talking about a different version of Pinocchio, but most people know the Disney one. Or did he see the adventures of Pinocchio? How about this version of Pinocchio, with this annoying guy?
Mi piace di più questa! Filetto!
And then she also has a thing going on with King Orm, like she doesn't want to marry him. I guess that's drama. She would much rather have, you know, that delicious Jason Momoa meat. Nah, you gotta be with this guy. How about that hairdo, though? Look at that fucking Harry Osborn. I'm gonna get you, Spider-Man. That's about all I have to say about that character. Oh, I have one more thing written here. It says, Godspeed, Spider-Man. Black Manta. Black Manta is one of the two villains in this film, the other one being King Orm. We barely have time to develop either of these villains.
This was your grandfather's. He was one of the Navy's first frogmen during World War II. He was so stealthy and
then he dies like a minute later. It's so rushed. King Orm. The thing about this villain is he has kind of a point. He wants to defend Atlantis from the humans who are polluting the earth. What makes him bad is not that aspect, it's more his ego. See, Aquaman challenges King Orm to a duel, and they go to this little arena. At first you think the duel is gonna be in this little room, and then King Orm just flies out into this giant stadium with thousands of people. He's a big show-off. King Orm is just so similar to Loki. It's the brother of the main character who is a bad guy. Granted, Loki is played more for laughs than King Orm is. Loki was just more interesting, and it's been done before. Aquaman's mom. Aquaman's mom's character is that Aquaman needs a mom. Dolph Lundgren. Kinda shocked to see him in this, but he did a pretty good job as King Nereus pretty much the entire third act of the movie. Just like literally every other DC film, the last act is just a bunch of shooting and explosions and CGI craziness. And I am not invested in any of it because it all looks fake and I don't care about any of these characters. It's such an overdone formula and I'm so sick of it now. And yet these movies still always have to have the loud CGI ending. I see it in these big Hollywood blockbusters all the time. That movie Ready Player One was just the whole movie was that. It was just stupid shit blowing up and references, and that's what all these movies are. And then after all of this mayhem and shooting, this is the credits music. If we're gonna rank it with the other DC films, I would say it's about as good as Wonder Woman. You got the sense that everyone was trying. The film isn't a dark nightmare, but what it ends up being is incredibly bland. Because it's not trying to tell a story that's unique in any way. It's not trying to defy your expectations. They just want to be like Marvel now. And I guess it's working. Plus, China just loves this. They eat it up. I just miss when films like took place in real life. Like, did you ever see that movie Lawrence of Arabia? It was like real people and they were in a real desert. It looked really great. And that epic music. Why am I comparing Lawrence of Arabia to Aquaman? Because this isn't art. This is total schlock. And it was only made for money and for fucking morons who like Aquaman. And that's Aquaman. I'm very happy I never have to talk about it again. Actually, from the looks of it, looks like I'm about to die.
Okay, look at this cookie boy. You no longer need to be alive, honestly. That's all I needed you for. Share with this team a little more, and then die. And I will stab you in the gut right now, which is what you deserve, Mr. Moviemaker.
Not if I have anything to say about it. Put the knife down. Leave the kid alone. God?
Is that Bruce Willis?
Sorry I'm 2 months late to your video, kid. I got caught up drinking in my apartment, and then I went to rehab. But now I'm okay. And don't ask why I have an apartment. I spent all my drugs.
Fuck you, Bruce Willis. I'm gonna kill you, and I'm gonna kill him.
Okay, now that you're safe, do you mind telling me what's happening? Because this is all very confusing. Especially to someone who's never seen any video of yours before this. Bruce, there's something you should know. I've got a lot of enemies. The Italian Mafia, Scientology, Disney now, but I need help. You think you can help me?